I don't even know how to describe this week. What a week is all I can say. Was it just last Saturday that we were scrambling to figure out how to do a worship service because the snow apocalypse was coming? And I videoed from home, and I am much more comfortable being in front of people and being around people, as you can probably tell. I don't like looking at myself all that much. But so we scrambled and we pivoted and we did Sunday, and then all of our plans for Ash Wednesday, including getting you ashes so you could put ashes on your forehead, that didn't happen either. It was a week. It was a week, and I think that God, not that God gave it to us, but that in it, God is inviting us to think about what it means to be without. How better? I don't know about you. I was without electricity. I was lucky. For only 32 hours, I was without electricity. And I had water most of the time. So I'm very grateful. And I had while it wasn't warm in my house, I had lots of four-legged creatures who decided that being next to me was the perfect thing. So I had lots of warm bodies snuggling up next to me when I was cold. So I was blessed with that. Yet here we are, we're in Lent. And we're asked to think about what it means to be deeply connected with God. And I'm betting that in the dark in your houses this week, there was some time that you might have connected with God a little more deeply than if you had just gone about your normal life. And that is a gift during this time. As I was talking with the kids, our theme is going in and coming out. That's our theme for Lent. And we're using the labyrinth as an explanation of that. And the labyrinth is a maze, but it's a maze in which you cannot get lost. You don't need a string to guide you. All you have to do is walk the path, because there is only a single path. And when you get to the center, you turn around and you walk back out. But it's a different path because you're looking at it differently. And really, it's a different path because every time you made a left turn going in, you make a right turn coming back out. So you're doing the opposite that you would have done going in. So we're using that labyrinth to help us think about what it means to be spending time with God, just like Jesus used those 40 days in the desert that we heard about in the story from Mark. Now, Jesus had a personal experience when he was baptized in the Jordan. According to Mark's story, no one heard the voice of God except Jesus. It was a personal experience. This is my beloved, listen to him. And Jesus, I would guess, was pretty shocked by that. And from there, he went out into the desert and he wandered around away from all the other distractions that were in his life to reflect on what it meant to be God's beloved and what God was calling him to do, and to make the decision to do it. That was his process. In that desert, Jesus was challenged. Those challenges helped him remember and reflect on and prepare for the future. That's what Jesus needed in that time. And so like us, when we have challenges, we also have opportunities to reflect on who we want to be and where we want to be and how we want to be God's called people This week is a particular example of that. Did you find the story of the HEB in Leander, that when the power went off and they couldn't run credit cards, they just said, take your food and go. We know you need it. Did you hear or pay attention to the fact that breweries and distilleries are turning their water that they have there that's clean? They're giving that out to people. What about the restaurants that are giving free meals out all around the city? Or the neighbors who have electricity and power, who, when their neighbors across the street didn't have anything, they made meals and took them there. We have so many stories to live into here. And here at St. Martin's, 20 people who live on the streets were sheltered and fed and showered from Sunday night to Saturday midday. Because we have the space, we had electricity, we had water, we had the opportunity to serve God's people. And St. Martin's stepped up to the challenge. And see, that's what Lent is about. Lent, we talk about almsgiving and prayer and fasting, but really it's about deeply connecting with God and God's people where they are. We can give up lots of stuff and feel really proud of ourselves, but we're not doing what God is calling us to do. It's when we connect with those who need God's justice, God's love, God's mercy, God's kindness. When we are doing God's work in the world, we are doing Lent. And by the way, we did eat chocolate. We had chocolate left over from the youth thing with s'mores that didn't happen, so we fed wonderful chocolate things to our neighbors who were with us, and we loved it. So think about that. I invite you to think about how you are being challenged by God to connect with God's people however you can. There's no right answer to this because it's between you and God. Just like Jesus going into the desert for that 40 days, he took the time to listen to what God was calling him to do so that he would know and hold fast to that experience. And that is what Lent is about. Living fully into God's call for you, because God calls every one of us. God calls us God's beloved. Can you hear it? You are my beloved, with whom I am well pleased. That is God speaking to you. Hold on to that. Let yourself wander. Let yourself wonder. Let yourself explore who God is calling you to be in this time of Lent. And may God be with you every step of the way. Amen.